ఆపదామపహత్తారం దాతారం సర్వసంపదాం లోకాభిరామం శ్రీరామం భూయో భూయో నమామ్యహం. విమలకమలనేత్రం విష్పుర నీలగాత్రం తపనకులపవిత్రం ధానవధ్వాంతమిత్రం భువనశుభచరిత్రం భూమిపుత్రికలాత్రం దశరథవరపుత్రం నౌమి రామాఖ్యమిత్రం. రామాభిరామం నయనాభిరామం వాచాభిరామం వదనాభిరామం సర్వాభిరామం చ సదాభిరామం వందే సదా దాశరథిం చ రామం. కూజంతం రామరామేతి మధురం మధురాక్షరం ఆరుహ్య కవితాశాఖాం వందే వాల్మీకి కోకిలం. వేదవేద్యే పరే పుంసి జాతే దశరథాత్మజే వేదః ప్రాచేతదాత్ ఆసీత్ సాక్షాత్ రామాయణాత్మనః. When the Parabrahman Sriman Narayana decided to take Ramavatara, all the Vedas together decided to descend as Srimad Ramayana. Srimad Ramayana is celebrated as Prapatti Shastra, Śaraṇāgati Shastra. Ramayana is the very essence of all the Vedas and the Vedanta. Ramayana not only helps us unlock the secret of the Vedas and the Vedanta, Ramayana helps us to understand how we can practically apply the principles laid down in the Vedas. Through Ramayana, Bhagavan reveals the supreme secret that is enshrined in our Vedas and the Vedanta. The secret of Prapatti Marga. We are all assembled here today to relish Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati. Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati is the climactic moment of Srimad Ramayana. Ravana Vada is incidental. That is not the climax of Ramayana. Rama Pattabhisheka is also not the climax of Srimad Ramayana. Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati is the climactic moment. If Ramayana is the song of Prapatti Śaraṇāgati, Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati is its crescendo. Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati is so very special because through Vibhīṣaṇa and his Śaraṇāgati, we get to understand the profound principle of Śaraṇāgati. Now, before we dive into the segment in Ramayana, in the Yuddha Kanda, where Vibhīṣaṇa performs Śaraṇāgati to Sri Rama, we must first relish the glory of Śaraṇāgati Shastra. Then we must relish the greatness of Vibhīṣaṇa. Then we can relish Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati. Because Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati can be fully relished when we know the glory of Śaraṇāgati and greatness of Vibhīṣaṇa. Śaraṇāgati. The word Śaraṇāgati is derived from Sharanam and Agati. Śaraṇāgati has many synonyms. In our Shastras, Śaraṇāgati is also known as prapatti, is also known as nyasa, bharanyasa, prapatti marga, Śaraṇāgati. Sharanam. Sharanam means shelter, refuge. Agati, to come, to return. Śaraṇāgati, to return to our original shelter, to return to where we belong. Śaraṇāgati is loosely translated as surrender. Śaraṇāgati means to return to where we originally belong, the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Prapatti. What is prapatti? Prapad. Prapatti is made of two words. Prapad, which is essentially to move towards the right place, to fall down, to unconditionally submit oneself to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Nyasa is a beautiful word. Nyasa is a multi-dimensional word. Nyasa can mean total detachment. Nyasa can mean depositing, entrusting, placing down, entrusting responsibility. Nyasa is nothing but entrusting responsibility to Bhagavan. Art and science of delegation. Essentially submitting to Bhagavan and saying, I delegate all the responsibilities to you, hey Bhagavan. Śaraṇāgati, nyasa, prapatti. How can we define Śaraṇāgati? Our Shastras have a crystal clear definition of Śaraṇāgati. Ahirbudhya Samhita defines Śaraṇāgati so very beautifully. Ahamasmi aparādānām ālayoho akinchano agatihi tameva upāya bhūto me bhaveti prārthanāmatihi Śaraṇāgatihi. Ahamasmi aparādānām ālayoho. I am a bundle of aparadhas. Ahamasmi aparādānām ālayoho akinchano agatihi tameva upāya bhūto me bhaveti prārthanāmatihi Śaraṇāgatihi. Recognition, realization and acknowledgement of our limitations. Acknowledging our limitations and being aware of our defects, of our doshas. Being aware of our incapabilities, rooted in supreme Shraddha, faith, and arriving at a resolute state of mind, a firm state of mind, where we consider Bhagavan to be the upaya, the means. Bhagavan is the goal. That is easy to understand. But Bhagavan is the means too. The firm state of mind, Tvameva upāya bhūto me bhaveti prārthanāmatihi. That firmness, that resolute state of mind, rooted in Mahavishvasa. Because this state of mind requires unimaginable faith, which is not easy for us. To essentially consider Bhagavan to be the upaya as well. He is the upaya, the goal. He is also upaya. Now, when we translate Śaraṇāgati as surrender, we start defining Śaraṇāgati as a process of giving up. Unfortunately, this English translation of surrender and giving up can bring in an understanding of defeatism. Giving up means admitting defeat. It is very disempowering. On the other hand, Sharanagati is very empowering, ennobling. We need to understand the difference between giving up and letting go. There is a huge difference. Giving up is essentially caving into circumstances. Giving up essentially means giving up our efforts to improve. Whereas letting go is so very empowering. Letting go has to blossom and become letting God, which is essentially means we have to stop playing God. We all try to play God most of the times in our lives. Why? Because we think we are in control. We think we can control. And we expect people and situations to be in our control all the time, knowing fully well that this is not possible. Our own day-to-day experience clearly shows us that nothing is in our control. Our own mind is not in our control. How can we expect others to be in our control? How can we expect situations and events to be under our control? We are constantly trying to play God. So, letting go, letting God is let God play His role. Let us play our roles. Let us not try to steal His role and in that process miserably fail. He is good at playing His role. We should become good at playing our role. Therefore, for Sharanagati to succeed, now the question is, can every Sharanagati succeed? The answer is no, because even in Ramayana, which is Sharanagati Shastra, throughout all the Kandas, we see several Sharanagatis happening. Some of them are successful, some of them are failures. Which means we need to understand the ingredients of Sharanagati. We need to understand what is the Sharanagata Lakshana, what is the Sharanya Lakshana. Who is a Sharanagata? The one who performs, the refuge seeker. All of us are Sharanagatas, Prapannas. Sharanya, the refuge giver, Bhagavan. We need to understand the Lakshana of these two. What is Sharanagata Lakshana? Sharanagata Lakshana, characteristics of an ideal Sharanagata, an ideal Prapanna. Na dharmanishtos na chatmavedi, na bhaktiman tva charanāravinde, akinchano ananya gatit sharanya, pratpadamulam sharanam prapadhye. The illustrious Yamunacharya in his Stotra Ratnam defines the lakshana of a Sharanagata. Na dharmanishtosmi. I do not understand dharma at all. I do not have the capability to know dharma. Dharma to know, I need to know the Vedas, I need to know the Vedanta. I don't have capability to understand the Shastra. He said this thousands of years back. Today, we all can relate to it. If you don't have capability to study the Vedas and the Vedanta to understand the purport, how can we say I can know Dharma? Na dharma nishtos, na chatma vedi. Everybody keeps talking about Atma. I don't know where is this Atma. I don't know. I know I have studied that the Jivatma is different, the body is different, but somehow I am not able to realize the Atma, my own true nature. Na chatma vedi. Na bhaktiman tva charanāravinde. Bhagavad Gita says, practice bhakti yoga, swadharma jnana vairagya sadhya bhaktyeka gocharaha. Narayana Parabrahma Gita Shastre Samiritaha. But I am incapable of practicing Bhakti Yoga too. But there is one thing I can do. I can hold on to your lotus feet. with the awareness akinchano ananyagati sharanya. So therefore, what are the two qualities? Somebody asked this very important, profound question. What is the qualification of a Sharanagata? The master replied, lack of qualification is the qualification. Now we are all relieved. We are all relieved because we thought when we go and ask what is the qualification, we thought there will be a list, a long list. When the answer comes, lack of qualification is the qualification, we are all assured. Now we know we all are qualified. The two qualities, the characteristics of Sharanagata, akinchanyam, ananyagatitvam. Akinchanaha, ananyagatit sharanya, he says. Akinchanyam. Akinchanyam means lack of anything. Lack of anything is akinchanyam. Lack of any property, lack of anything, which means an awareness of inadequacy, an awareness of our incapability, a positive awareness. That is akinchanya. Ananyagatitva. Gati can mean way, gati can also mean place. Ananyagatitva. There is no other way that I know. There is no other place I can go to. Hey Bhagavan, I don't know any other place. I know only your lotus feet. I don't know any other means. I only know your lotus feet. Akinchanyam, ananyagatitva. These are two very important characteristics of a Sharanagata. Now imagine a man is drowning in an ocean. A man is drowning in an ocean and the ocean is full of heavy winds, heavy waves, tossing him everywhere, hither and thither. What will he do? He is not a swimmer. He has no equipment. The only thing that he can do is wave and cry out for help. That's the only thing he can do. He is helpless. He is inadequate. He has no means. He has no capabilities. And the only thing that he can do is cry out for help. Akinchano agatihi. Sharanagati is a spiritual equivalent of a drowning man calling for help. But now, imagine if that man who is drowning is intoxicated. He is fully drunk. Now, he will be oblivious of the danger he is in. An intoxicated man, even though he is tossed around in the ocean by the waves, cannot even cry out for help. Are we all not in a similar position? We need to reflect on this. All of us can say we are all sober. We are not inebriated. We are not drunkards. But we are intoxicated in worldliness to such an extent that we are unable to recognize that we are trapped in samsara. We are unable to recognize that the waves of samsara, the waves of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsaryas are tossing us around all over. And we do not even know that we should call out for help. Such is the unfortunate state of a baddha jiva in samsara. Sharanagati, therefore, is a recognition of this state of helplessness, akinchanyam, ananyagatitva, and calling out to Bhagavan, saying, you alone are the means, you alone is the goal. What is Sharanya Lakshana? Bhagavan is a Sharanya. He is a repository of infinite Kalyana gunas. But there are two gunas which are required as qualifications for a Sharanya. Paratva, Saulabhya. What is Paratva? Paratva is matchless, peerless, blemishless, supremacy. Bhagavan is peerless. Matta parataram nanyate kinchidasti dhananjaya. There is no one who is superior to him. He is infinitely auspicious. He is infinitely powerful. He is infinitely beautiful. He is infinitely knowledgeable. He is infinitely infinite. Now the question that all of us have is, can the finite reach the infinite? The answer is never. How can the finite reach the infinite? But the never can become ever with the grace of the infinite. This is where his Saulabhya comes in. Bhagavan may not be reachable to us, but we are reachable to him. This is very important to constantly contemplate on. He may not be reachable to me, I am reachable to him. His Saulabhya is so very important to a Sharanagata. Ease of access, ease of availability. He is there when we need him. He is also there when we don't need him. He is always there. Paratva and Saulabhya, two important qualities of a Sharanya. Now, for Sharanagati to be fruitful, it is important for the Sharanya to be qualified. And we know Bhagavan is very well qualified. Paratva and Saulabhya are very much there. The Sharanagata also has to be qualified. While lack of qualification is the qualification, acknowledging the lack of qualification is where the problem is. It is not the lack of qualification which is the problem. Acknowledging the lack of qualification. Because it is not easy for us to acknowledge our own lack of qualification. Akinchanaha ananyagatitva. We need to recognize and acknowledge. Now, the Sharanagata may have these qualifications of Akinchanya, Ananyagatitva. The Sharanya also has the qualifications of Paratva and Saulabhya. But in addition to this, there is another magic potion that is required for Sharanagati to be fruitful. Ramayana demonstrates what is this additional ingredient for Sharanagati to be fruitful. Now, Bhagavan is Sarvasvatantra. And his Sankalpa is Swatantra Sankalpa. Swatantra means he is the only one who is independent. Everybody else is dependent on him. The entire universe is dependent on him. He is the only one who is independent, truly independent. And his Sankalpa, his will, is also truly independent. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sa characharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. It is based on his will and his will alone. Everything functions. And therefore, his will is an important ingredient. Whether to accept our Sharanagati or not to accept our Sharanagati is based on his will. And then we are worried. How can this will be influenced? Is there a way this will can be influenced? Ramayana demonstrates this very well. Our Shastras declare Lakshmya Saharishikeshaha Devya Karunya Rupaya Rakshaka Samasiddhante Vedante Picha Giyate. It is together with Shri that Narayana protects all. His Rakshakatva is together with Shri. So therefore, the additional ingredient that is required for Sharanagati to be fruitful is influencing his will, and this is where Purushakara comes in. Purushakara is the divine mediation between us and Bhagavan, between every Jivatma and the Paramatma. It is Shri who mediates as the intermediary, like a mother who plays the intermediary role between a child and the father. And when the mother intercedes, the job will be done. All of us know this. And therefore, for Sharanagati to be fulfilled, we need Lakshmi Kataksha, Shri's mediation between us and Bhagavan. Now, having relished what is Sharanagati, the Sharanagati Shastra, Sharanya Lakshana, Sharanagata Lakshana, we should now relish the greatness of Vibhīṣaṇa. Vibhīṣaṇa had tough choices to make. Vibhīṣaṇa, who was always with Ravana, his elder brother, had tough choices to make. He had to choose between a life of substance and a life of pretense, a life of sacrifice versus a life of exploitation of others, a life of true contentment and a life of opulence and riches, a life of virtues versus a life of vices, a life of meaningful actions versus a life of mean actions. He had to make some tough calls, some tough choices. Vibhīṣaṇa teaches us important qualities as to the characteristics of an ideal Sharanagata. Through Vibhīṣaṇa, we understand how Sharanagati can really be fruitful. And therefore, before we dive into the segment where Vibhīṣaṇa crosses over the ocean, reaches Rama and performs Sharanagati, we need to start where it all began. We need to start from how Vibhīṣaṇa exited Lanka. Because in Vibhīṣaṇa's exit from Lanka, we get to understand Vibhīṣaṇa's nobility. We get to understand Vibhīṣaṇa's bhakti. We get to understand Vibhīṣaṇa's Shastra Jnana. And therefore, let us all go to that particular segment of Ramayana where Vibhīṣaṇa has come to a conclusion that his advice to Ravana has failed. Vibhīṣaṇa repeatedly attempts to reform Ravana. He repeatedly tries to point out Ravana's mistake. But then there comes a point, a breaking point for Vibhīṣaṇa where he has to make the choice. And Vibhīṣaṇa makes the right choice. And therefore, Vibhīṣaṇa decides that this is the time for him to part ways with Ravana. Vibhīṣaṇa, knowing that now Ravana is no longer going to entertain him, Ravana almost gets ready not to just throw Vibhīṣaṇa, but to almost kill Vibhīṣaṇa. Ityukta parusham vakyam nyayavadi Vibhīṣaṇah utpapata gadapanihi chaturbhihi saharakshasaihi. Valmiki captures this beautiful moment in the Ramayana so very well. He says, utpapata gadapanihi chaturbhihi saharakshasaihi. Ityukta parusham vakyam. Parusham vakyam. Ravana's parusham vakyam. The harsh words of Ravana. They were not harsh to Vibhīṣaṇa because Ravana was attacking him. the harsh words spoken against Rama. Vibhīṣaṇa was tolerance personified. But Vibhīṣaṇa decided not to tolerate anymore Ravana's intolerance. He decided not to tolerate Ravana's transgression, repeated transgression of dharma. And therefore, intolerant of Ravana's harshness towards Rama, ityuktam parusham vakyam nyayavadi Vibhīṣaṇa. Valmiki calls Vibhīṣaṇa the Dharmatma Nyayavadi, because he is the one who knows justice has to be done now. Time has come when Ravana has to face justice for all his abominable deeds, unacceptable actions. Therefore, Valmiki calls Vibhīṣaṇa Nyayavadi Vibhīṣaṇa. Uttapata gadapanihi chaturbhihi saharakshasaihi. Interestingly, Uttapata. Uttapata means Vibhīṣaṇa, it seems, soared into the sky. Deciding to exit Lanka, he decided to soar into the sky. We may all ask this question. Vibhīṣaṇa could have walked away. Why did he soar into the sky? Symbolically, it also says that Vibhīṣaṇa, by soaring into the sky, also signals his liberation from the clutches of adharma. Also, Vibhīṣaṇa is so joyous. He's been waiting for that moment of meeting Rama. He couldn't wait any longer. He was so joyful that he soared into the sky. The Vibhīṣaṇa soaring into the sky was an eyesore to Ravana. But Vibhīṣaṇa was so very joyful. Uttapata gadapanihi. Antariksha gata Sriman. Valmiki writes. Antariksha gata Sriman. Vibhīṣaṇa has lost everything. He's lost his kingdom. He's lost his relationships. He lost everything. But Valmiki says, only after he lost everything, he became Sriman. Antariksha gata Sriman. Sriman means what? One who is endowed with all richness, property, wellness, goodness. After losing everything, Vibhīṣaṇa becomes Sriman. Vibhīṣaṇa might have lost the kingdom. Vibhīṣaṇa might have lost all his bodily relationships. But he now has access to the treasure of all treasures, Rama. Therefore, he has to be Sriman. Antariksha gata Sriman. Uttapata gadapanihi. It seems Vibhīṣaṇa, the moment he decided to exit from Lanka, he soared into the sky and he was holding his gada. We may have this doubt. He renounced everything, all his property. He renounced his kingdom, his relationships. Why did he not renounce his gada? Why did he gadapanihi? Why should he go to Rama with gada? Is it for self-defense? Obviously not. Definitely not. Why did he not renounce gada? Because Vibhīṣaṇa knows he is going for Rama Kainkarya and he has to be an instrument in Rama's war against Ravana, and gada is needed for that. This is why Śaraṇāgati calls for not only helplessness but also resourceful readiness. Doing Śaraṇāgati also means continuing to perform Kainkarya to Bhagavan, to be an instrument in his service. Uttapata gadapanihi chaturbhihi saharakshasaihi. It seems 4 wise Rakshasas decided to follow Vibhīṣaṇa. Amongst the thousands and thousands of Rakshasas, there were 4 wise men who decided to follow. As Vibhīṣaṇa exited, 4 Rakshasas followed Vibhīṣaṇa. And before departing, Vibhīṣaṇa had some words of advice, final words. And through those words, we get to understand the noble character of Vibhīṣaṇa. Sunitam hitakamena vakyamuktam dashanana nagrinanti akritatmanaha kalasya vashamagataha. Looking at Ravana, Vibhīṣaṇa says, hey Ravana, nagrinanti, you cannot assimilate. The words, we can hear words of advice. Hearing alone is not enough. What we hear has to go in and has to be assimilated. grinanti, assimilate. Mere hearing words of wisdom is of no use. Hey Ravana, I know that you are incapable of assimilating words of wisdom. Why? Akritatmanaha. Ravana, you are akritatmanaha. Your mind is impure. Your mind is filled with all kinds of attachments. And therefore, an impure mind will not allow you to assimilate the words of wisdom. Kalasya vashamagataha. You are controlled by time. It is very important to recognize that we are all controlled by time. While we are all controlled by time, we have a little control in terms, we all get pushed by time, but where do we get pushed? Where do we get pushed? In which direction we get pushed? There is a little control that we have. So here Ravana, unfortunately, you have lost control of everything, even though you may think you are in control. Kalasya vashamagataha sunitam hitakamyena vakyamuktam dasharana. Sulabha parusharajan satatam priyavadinaha apriyasya tu pathasya vaktashrota cha dullabham. Hey Ravana, you may get people who will please you. Realize that people are pleasing you by compulsion. They are not pleasing you because they want to please you. They are pleasing you by compulsion. I have no such compulsion. And therefore, the words that I spoke to you may seem harsh, but they are words of wisdom for your well-being. And Vakta Shrota cha Dullabaha. It is very difficult for you to get somebody like me who can advise you, Ravana, but unfortunately, you have lost that person as well today. Baddham kalasya pashena sarvabhuta apaharina nahasyantam upeksheyam pradiptam sharanam yata. Ravana, the house is burning. And unfortunately, you are not able to notice it. You are being dragged away by the noose of Yama. Ravana, I can see it. Unfortunately, you yourself are unable to notice that you are being dragged away by the noose of Yama. And you are completely unaware. And the house is burning and you are ignorant of that. When the mind is full of attachments make us blind, but it is arrogance which keeps us blind. Ravana's attachments made him blind, but his arrogance kept him blind. Therefore, he did not notice. He did not notice what was going around. Marshayatu yachoktam gurutvat hitamichhata atmanam sarvata raksha Puricha imam sarakshasam swastite astu gamishyami sukhi bhavamaya vina. This is where we understand Vibhīṣaṇa's greatness. He says, Marshayati yachoktam gurutva hitamicchata. Hey Ravana, being my elder brother, please bear with the words that I spoke so far. They might have sounded very harsh, but I still respect you. Ravana, you are my elder brother after all. I still respect you. Atmanam sarvataraksha purincha imam sarakshasam. Please take care of yourself. Now that I am gone, there is not going to be anybody who can advise you. Take care of yourself. More importantly, take care of Lanka. Swastite astu gamishyami sukhi bhavamaya vina. Sukhi bhava. Let all be well with you. May you be happy. It is not easy for one to respond this way. He is being tormented by Ravana. He is being put in a situation where everybody was looking down upon him and he was insulted publicly. Yet, he has no hatred whatsoever. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitra karunayevacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukhakshami. Krishna in the Gita says, what is the first quality of a true bhakta? He says, Adveshta sarvabhutanam. There should be no hatred whatsoever. When we love Bhagavan truly, when our heart is filled with love for the Creator, there can be no room for hatred for anyone in his creation. Vibhīṣaṇa's love for Rama is so very great, so very expansive, that there is no room for hatred towards Ravana. Can we imagine how somebody like Ravana, the very embodiment of abominable deeds, cruel deeds, wicked actions, the one who misbehaved with Vibhīṣaṇa and everybody else, Vibhīṣaṇa was still able to wish him well. No hatred, no iota of hatred whatsoever. One important life lesson we learn from Vibhīṣaṇa here. How do we handle adversities, difficult situations? Now, when there is an adversity, there are two natural reactions. Being resentful or being regretful. These are two natural reactions. When there is any difficult situation, any adversity. Being resentful means the focus is on what others have done to us. How can he do this to me? How can he say this? How can I be insulted? How can he be harsh? How can he be mean? The focus is on what others have done to us. We are resentful of people, resentful of situations. Vibhīṣaṇa's focus was not this. He was not bothered by how Ravana treated him, how the whole of Lanka treated him. He was not resentful at all. The other reaction to adversity is being regretful. Here the focus is not on what others did, the focus is on what we did, our own actions. I should have done this, I couldn't have done this, why did I do this? Blaming ourselves, regretting, being guilty. Vibhīṣaṇa could also have gone into a guilt trap, because he too was with Ravana for a long time, failed in several attempts. He was neither resentful nor regretful. He was grateful. Being grateful is not to focus on what others have done to us, not to focus on what we have done. Focus on what was done for us. By who? By Bhagavan. Because after all, we did endure that adversity. We did sail through. It could have been a lot worse. The fact that we are still intact means Bhagavan has done something for us to ensure that we will sail through. That is being grateful. Vibhīṣaṇa knows that in every situation, in every event, there is Rama's signature. So there is no need to label any situation as good or bad. Vibhīṣaṇa teaches us a very important life lesson as to how to be grateful to Bhagavan, to Rama all the time. And it seems he was so joyful when he made the exit. He lost the kingdom. He lost all his relationships. And it seems he did not even go back to visit his own family. Yet he was joyful. He was so joyful because he was grateful. It is only with an attitude of gratitude that anything which is negative can be transformed into positive. He was so joyful as he traveled across the ocean. He soared into the sky and he was traveling. And interestingly, Valmiki, does not talk about the time that Vibhīṣaṇa takes to cross over the ocean. Valmiki is silent about how much time did Vibhīṣaṇa take to cross the ocean from the side of Lanka to the other side. It is interesting because to Vibhīṣaṇa, the distance did not matter. The speed did not matter. What mattered was Rama alone. Vedyam Vedagurum Virinchi Janakam Vedanta Murtim Spuratvedam Vedakalapa Mula Mahimadharanta Kandankuram Vedashringa Samanasesha Sainam Vedanta Vedyatmakam Vedaradita Padapankajamaham Ramam Bhaje Tarakam. Constantly contemplating on Rama's lotus feet, completely absorbed in Rama, Vibhīṣaṇa just traveled effortlessly. What is important for us to learn from this is there is no point in calculating time. We all start looking at, I started on this spiritual path on so and so date. I have started to come to satsang on so and so date, until now, so many years, so many days, I don't know if I have reformed, I don't know if I have transformed, I don't know if I am in the right direction, in the wrong direction. We are always trying to calculate time. We have to learn from the Vibhīṣaṇa. It doesn't matter, the distance doesn't matter, the time doesn't matter. What matters is if I am staying connected with Rama, his lotus feet. Because after all, there is no distance between me and Rama. There is no distance. I have to travel from where I am to a destination which is where I am already. Because why? Rama is with me. And Vibhīṣaṇa knows this. So therefore, to Vibhīṣaṇa, time did not matter, and therefore Valmiki, interestingly, does not mention the time that Vibhīṣaṇa takes to cross. So Vibhīṣaṇa crosses over the ocean, and then together with his friends, 4 Rakshasas, he is crossing over the ocean. And now he could see the expanse of the Vanara army. What a sight to behold. Seated on a rock, Rama being attended by Lakshmana, Sugriva, Hanumanta, Jambavan, Mainda, Dvida, Angada, all the Vanara Sena spread all over. What a sight to behold. And Vibhīṣaṇa, as he was traveling in the sky, neared the shore. And then Sugriva, along with Angada and few other Vanaras, could see Utpapata Gadapanihi. He was holding a mace. So therefore, that mace resulted in creating doubts, fear and doubts in mind. Not in Rama's mind, but at least people around Rama. Therefore, when he entered the territory, he was still in the sky. Now we have to visualize this to see how the conversation is going to happen. Vibhīṣaṇa, along with the 4 Rakshasas, are up in the sky looking down. And then Sugriva, Angada, Hanuman, Jambavan and the other leaders approach. They approach Vibhīṣaṇa, and Vibhīṣaṇa has to now introduce himself. What would you expect? How would you expect somebody like Vibhīṣaṇa in that state to introduce? The way Vibhīṣaṇa introduces himself would shock us, because given a chance, we would never introduce ourselves the same. Let's see how Vibhīṣaṇa introduces himself to Sugriva and all the Vanaras. Vibhīṣaṇa looks at Sugriva. He knows that Sugriva is the king of the Vanaras, and he also sees Hanuman. There is a very pleasant exchange between Hanuman and Vibhīṣaṇa, because Vibhīṣaṇa earlier was the one who interceded to ensure that Hanuman is not meted out any kind of punishment. Now he addresses Sugriva. Vibhīṣaṇa says, he looks at looking at Sugriva, he is introducing himself. Ravano nama durvruttaha rakshaso rakshaseswaraha tasyaham anujo bhrata Vibhīṣaṇa iti shrutaha. The name that can result in a violent reaction, if at all there is one name that can result in a violent reaction, that is Ravana, the name of Ravana. Going into an enemy camp who are all getting ready to attack, he goes and introduces himself as Ravano nama durvrittaha rakshaso rakshaseshwaraha tasyaham anujaha bratha Vibhīṣaṇa iti shrutaha. They call me Vibhīṣaṇa. Who am I? I am Anuja, the younger brother of Ravana, not ordinary Ravana, Durvrittaha, the one who is known for his bad conduct. We would all think, foolishness. We would all hide everything that we have to hide. When we introduce ourselves, we always try to introduce only with everything that is positive. We will always hide all our weaknesses, we will hide all our faults, all our defects. But Vibhīṣaṇa leads with his doshas. This is what our acharyas say. One of the primary requirement for Śaraṇāgati is swadosha to be acknowledged. Ahamasmi aparādhānāmālayoho. Akinchanaha, ananyagati. Going back to the definition of Śaraṇāgati. Ahamasmi aparādhānāmālayoho. I am a bundle of aparādhas. Whether we like it or not, we all are carrying bundles of papa karma. Therefore, swadosha svikara is so very important. And Vibhīṣaṇa openly admits, he is not shy of saying, he could have not said, I am Ravana's brother. He could have said, I am just another Rakshasa coming from Lanka. But he did not want to hide this fact. Ravano nama durvrittaha rakshaso rakshaseswaraha. I am that younger brother of Ravana. So accepting one's weakness, accepting one's inadequacies is so very important. And this is the only way to deal with a problem at hand, especially when we are surrendering to Bhagavan. Let me give an analogy. A patient goes to a doctor. A patient goes to a doctor and admits symptoms that refer to a very serious disease. Now, the admission of these symptoms does not mean because of the admission there is no sickness. The sickness has already been there. Admitting the sickness admitting the symptoms did not cause the sickness. The sickness was already there. Only by admitting the symptoms that refer to the sickness, the patient can work on constructively dealing with the sickness and the doctor can then prescribe the right medicines. Swadosha svikara therefore becomes so very important. And we see Vibhīṣaṇa straight away introducing himself as Ravana's brother, the wicked Ravana's brother. And immediately he follows that saying, Tena Sita Janasthanat Hrutva Hatva Jatayusham Ruddhacha Vivashadina Rakshasibihi Surakshitaha. That Rakshasa, Rakshaseshwara, that Ravana is the one who is the cause of death of Jatayu, who is the cause of abduction of Sita. He is the one. But Vibhīṣaṇa adds, Ruddhacha Vivashadina Rakshasibihi Surakshita. By basically saying Sita is being held captive in Lanka, he also adds, she is also safe. He wants to give that assurance to all the Vanaras. Mother Sita is safe. This is a way of gaining trust. By basically saying, I am from the enemy camp, but let me tell you, Mother Sita, who is held captive against her will, is safe and sound. Sachana pratijjagraha ravana kalachoditaha uchyamano hitam vakyam viparita iva aushadham. This Ravana, my elder brother, unfortunately, kalachoditaha. Unfortunately, he is being dragged away by time. It's like a moth which gets dragged into a fire. You have all seen those moths, the insects. They know that When they enter fire, they will die. But helplessly they get dragged into the fire only to die. Kala choritaha. Uchamano hitam vakyam viparita iva aushadam. Just like how somebody who is perverted and therefore cannot recognize one's sickness. Ravana has not recognized his sickness, and therefore my words of wisdom, my advice that is given to him, he did not accept it. Just like if I do not recognize my sickness, I am not going to consume any medicine. So unfortunately, Vibhīṣaṇa tells all the Vanavas, and importantly to Sugriva, you must know that I advised Ravana, I was against his actions, I was for dharma, I was against adharma, but Ravana failed to accept the words of wisdom, and therefore he is in a state where justice now has to be meted out to him. Having said that, then Vibhīṣaṇa continues, Tyaktva putram cha dharam cha raghavam sharanam gataha. I have renounced my family. I have renounced everything, and therefore I am here for only one reason. He now looks straight, looking at Sugriva's eyes. He says, Tyaktva putram cha dharam cha raghavam sharanam gataha. I have come seeking refuge. I have realized that Rama alone is my shelter, and therefore I have come here seeking his refuge. And then he makes a profound declaration, Vibhīṣaṇa. Nivedayatamam kshipram raghavaya mahatmane sarvaloka sharanyaya Vibhīṣaṇam upasthitam. Nivedayata mam kshipram raghavaya mahatmane. Now, he uses two adjectives for Rama. Raghavaya mahatmane. Now here, Vibhīṣaṇa the Śaraṇāgata is approaching Rama the Sharanya. And what are the two important qualities, lakshanas of a Sharanya? Paratva and Saulabhya. Vibhīṣaṇa knows Rama, the Parabrahman, the Paramatma, has both these lakshanas. Parat Mahatmane. He is Mahatma. He is the Paramatma. No. When Vishwamitra walked into the court of Dasharatha, he asking for Rama to accompany him. He looked at Dasharatha and said, Aham vedmi mahatmanam ramam satyaparakramam vasishtopi mahatejaha yeche me tapasistitaha. Hey Dasharatha, do not be worried. Dasharatha was too worried. My little boy cannot come along with you. He is too young. He needs safety. He needs security. Vishwamitra looks at him and says, Hey Dasharatha, Aham vedmi mahatmanam ramam satyaparakramam. You do not know, I know Rama is the Paramatma. You do not know. You are blinded. You are infatuated. Putra Moha has blinded you. I know Rama is Mahatma. Vibhīṣaṇa here saying, Raghavaya Mahatmane. Raghava is that Paramatma. He is Paramatma. Narayana is also Raghava. He has taken avatara in Raghuvamsha. By taking avatara in Raghuvamsha, he is accessible to one and all. Therefore, he is also Sulabha. He refers to Paratva and Saulabhya of Rama. Nivedaya. Hey Sugriva, Nivedaya, please inform Rama. Mom, Kshipram, immediately. Why immediately? Because Vibhīṣaṇa knows if there is a delay, his own mind, which is very fickle, can say otherwise, say no. When the mind is cooperating, when there is sattva, we need to ensure that we need to make use of the opportunity. Sooner or later, Rajas and Tamas are going to dominate. So when there is a small window of opportunity, better to use. Right now, my mind is behaving. Therefore, before my mind changes, the fickle mind, Kshipram, please immediately go and inform Raghava. Sarvaloka Sharanyaya. He is Raghava, Sulabha, he is Mahatma, Paramatma. Therefore, he is Sarvaloka Sharanya. He is the Sarvaloka Sharanya, the one who only can give the refuge to me. Sarvaloka Sharanyaya. Vibhīṣaṇam upasthitam. Vibhīṣaṇa has arrived. Hey Sugriva, please go and inform Rama. Very interesting way of asking Sugriva. What did he say? Sugriva, Nivedayata mam kshipram raghavaya mahatmane sarvaloka sharanyaya Vibhīṣaṇam upastitam. Vibhīṣaṇa has arrived. Please go and inform the same to Rama. Interestingly, go and inform to Rama. What to inform? He has not said that. Hey Sugriva, please go and tell Rama Vibhīṣaṇa is here. Why Vibhīṣaṇa is here? Shouldn't he be clear by saying, I am here because I want to take the refuge of Rama? He did not say so. Because why? He knows that Rama knows. He knows that Rama knows that he need not say why he is here. Sugriva needs to convey to Rama is, Vibhīṣaṇa is here. Rama knows that Vibhīṣaṇa is here because I have been waiting to surrender to Rama. Rama also has been waiting for this very moment. So go and inform Rama that Vibhīṣaṇa is here and Rama knows why I am here. Immediately, there are all kinds of reactions. Sugriva, especially looking at Gada, he is Gadapani. He decides not to trust this Vibhīṣaṇa. Sugriva goes to Rama and says, hey Rama, somebody from the enemy camp is here. He does not say, Vibhīṣaṇa, somebody from the enemy camp is here. This enemy should not be allowed inside. I think he is like an owl getting into a community of crows during the night and trying to completely kill all the crows. This Rakshasa, all these Rakshasas are known for changing forms. They are very deceptive. Looks like a troublemaker, hey Rama. Better not entertain him. He claims he is Vibhīṣaṇa and he claims he is Ravana's brother. All the more reason not to allow him in our camp. Rama smiles. Rama understands Sugriva's concern. Sugriva is saying it because Sugriva is concerned of Rama's welfare. Rama then looks around and says, he looks at all the Vanaras around and he says, I understand where Sugriva is coming from. Let me also get to know all your opinions. All the Vanaras around are shell-shocked. They have never come across in their lives a leader who has asked them their opinions. For the first time, a leader is asking the followers their opinions. All the Vanaras felt truly empowered, inspired. And Angada takes a lead. And Angada says, hey Rama, I also believe we need to be very cautious here. No one is above suspicion until proven innocent. And therefore, we just cannot accept Vibhīṣaṇa and we cannot let him in our enemy camp. And immediately, Sharabha joins Angada. And Sharabha says, I second Angada's opinion. Unless Vibhīṣaṇa is thoroughly investigated, how can we decide that he has Rama's welfare in his mind? Therefore, we should now deploy a spy who will study Vibhīṣaṇa and come up with his conclusion. And then the wise Jambavan stands up and says, hey Rama, Vibhīṣaṇa has been with Ravana for so long, and this alone is enough for us to suspect Vibhīṣaṇa. His association with Ravana is enough for us to suspect him, and therefore I too believe we cannot allow him. Mahinda then stands up and says, we should appoint a committee who will go and do thorough interrogation, and only after the interrogation then we should be allowed. No, all this reminds us of our office situation. And while all the Vanaras are saying so, Rama is looking around and he is waiting. He is waiting to see where is that voice of wisdom, and he is looking around. Now, whenever we evaluate people, evaluate situations, we always take two extremes. Either we are extremely naive or we are extremely cynic. Now, using our intelligence and experience, we don't need to take take extreme positions, we don't need to be naive or cynic. We can choose to have the courage to trust. And the courage to trust can only come from a man of wisdom. And who is that man of wisdom in Sugriva's camp? Buddhirbhalam yashodhairyam nirbhayatvam marogataha achatyam vakpatutvancha hanumat smaranad bhavet navadan api samgharshan nadi adhikyan nacha kamataha vakshyami vachanam rajan yathartham rama gauravad. Hanuman respectfully stands up, looks at Rama, looks at Sugriva, and that Hanuman says, na vadan, na api sangharshan, na adhikyan, na chakaman. I am not standing here to argue. I am not standing here to show my supremacy over others. I am not standing here to engage in a debate. Vakshyami vachanam rajan yathartham rama gauram. He Rama, and he looks at Sugriva and he says, this matter is so very serious. And therefore, Rama has to take the right decision, and what we have been discussing so far has not been going in the right direction. He has the courage to say so. Sayesha desha kalacha bhavati iha yatha tatha purushat purusham prapya tatha dosha gunanapi. There was this question asked, this is not the time, this is not the place for accepting Vibhīṣaṇa in our camp. Hanuman says, there is no such thing as right time and right place. Whenever there is realization, whatever place, whatever time, that is the right place, that is the right time. Only Hanuman can say this. We don't need to wait. We are always waiting for that moment to come. The right place, the right time. He says, no, when realization occurs, the moment Vibhīṣaṇa realized Rama as the Paramatma, that is the right time, that is the right moment. And therefore, there is no need to suspect him. Rajyam prarthayamanacha buddhipurvam iha agataha etavattu puraskritya yujjate tasya sangragaha. Yujjate tasya sangragaha. Therefore, Hanuman submits himself. Sugriva has come seeking Rajyam prarthayamanaha, seeking kingdom. You may all wonder, did Vibhīṣaṇa did he come seeking any kingdom? Why is Hanuman saying so? Hanuman is referring to not Lanka Samrajya, is referring to Moksha Samrajya. Seeking Moksha Samrajya, Vibhīṣaṇa has come all the way, and therefore it is only appropriate. He looks at Rama and says, I submit my humble opinion to you. Of course, Rama, you are the one who can take the right decision. This is a very crucial moment in Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati Sharga, in that segment. Why is it crucial moment? We started off saying, for Śaraṇāgati to be fruitful, the Śaraṇāgata has to have the right qualification. Śaraṇāgata should have the qualification of Akinchanya, Ananyagatitva, helplessness, and complete awareness that Bhagavan alone is the means and the goal. The Sharanya also has to be qualified. Rama, the Paratva, and Saulabhya. I also said there is another important ingredient for Śaraṇāgati to be fulfilled, and this is what Shastras say. Without Shri Sambandha, without Shri Purushakara, without her mediation, Śaraṇāgati cannot succeed. And we have seen this in Ramayana. Whenever Sita was not there, Rama was only punishing. Only when Sita was with him, he was protecting. Now, will Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati succeed? Sita is nowhere there. She is there in Ashokavatika and Lanka. Therefore, for Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati to succeed, how can Purushakara of Sita take place? We all know that when Hanuman visited Ashoka Vatika, in Sundarakanda, Mother Sita presents her Chudamani to Hanuman. And when Hanuman comes back successfully from Lanka and meets Rama, he presents this Chudamani to Rama, and Rama is thrilled. Rama is so very thrilled seeing the Chudamani. Rama was just not thrilled because the Chudamani represents safety of Sita. Obviously, Rama was completely aware. Rama wouldn't have had an iota of doubt of Sita's safety. So why was he thrilled? Rama was thrilled because that Chudamani represented the instrument of proxy that Sita gave Hanuman. What is the instrument of proxy? We all know in today's legal parlance, an agent can appoint a sub-agent to get into any legal agreement, and the sub-agent is given an instrument of proxy. The sub-agent then represents the agent, and whatever the sub-agent does is binding to the agent. The Chudamani is the instrument of proxy that Mother Sita gives to Hanuman. Hanuman becomes her sub-agent for Purushakara to happen. The moment Rama sees, he knows that Sita's mediation is very much there. Without her Kataksha, Sharanagati cannot be fulfilled. Rama is relieved because he knows the climactic moment of Ramavatara is Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati, and he needs the Sahadharmacharini's support here to ensure that he is successful in granting Sharanagati, in accepting Sharanagati. And Hanuman therefore here represents Mother Sita. Nowhere else in the Ramayana we see Hanuman even speaking against Sugriva. Hanuman is so very respectful. He never speaks against Sugriva as king. But on this occasion, Hanuman respectfully differs and he pleads for Vibhīṣaṇa to be accepted. It is Mother Sita speaking through Hanuman and ensuring that Rama accepts Vibhīṣaṇa. Then Rama immediately looks at everyone and he says, Mamapi tu vivakshasti kachit prati Vibhīṣaṇam shutam ichchami tat sarvam bhavadbihi shreyasi stitaihi. He says, he looks at all the Vanaras and says, I really thank you all. I thank you all for fearlessly expressing your opinions. This is exactly what I wanted to know. But I just wanted to make one correction. My question possibly was not very well understood by you. I did not ask whether I should accept Sugriva. I was only asking whether I am capable of accepting Sugriva. Look at the humility of Rama here. And Rama says, let me, having heard all your opinions, and with a smile he looks at Hanuman and he thanks him for that opinion of Hanuman, and he says, let me also now share my opinion and my decision. Rama says, before I give you my decision, let me all tell you a story. We are all now used to this Kutti story concept. Rama talks about a story. He says, let me tell you a story. It seems, he says, there was a hunter who was hunting in a forest. And it so happened that on that fateful day, he was completely unsuccessful. And he couldn't find anything to hunt. He was totally famished. And towards the end of the day, it started raining, started pouring so heavily. He was looking for a shelter and he finally lands up under a tree for shelter. And he lights up a fire. And he's so very tired, so very famished. His stomach starts growling. He's so very hungry, tired, hungry, and he's sitting under the tree. And it so happens that on top of the tree lives a pigeon, a male pigeon, who looks down and recognizes that hunter. It is the same hunter who a few days back killed its wife, the she pigeon. The same hunter who is now sitting under the tree, and it also finds out his discomfort. That pigeon sees that this hunter is famished, growling, so hungry, and looking at the hunter, it decides, after all, the hunter has taken shelter in my house and therefore he cannot stay hungry. It takes the bold decision of offering itself to the hunter. It dives into the fire and becomes the hunter's food. Rama looks around all the Vanaras and says, if a pigeon can be so noble, why can't we be? If a pigeon can offer shelter to that hunter, why can't we offer shelter to Vibhīṣaṇa? Let me also tell you, the illustrious Kandu Maharshi, Rama says, he refers to Kandu Maharshi, the son of Kanva, who clearly said, anybody who comes seeking shelter should not be harmed, should not be killed. If anyone comes begging, seeking shelter, they must be taken care of, they must be protected. And Kandu Maharshi even says that at the cost of one's life, one must protect someone who comes seeking shelter. Therefore, he says, he looks around and he says, let me tell you, hey Sugriva, mitra bhavena sampraptam natyajeyam katanchana dosho yadyapi tasya syat sathamyetat agarhitam. A very profound shloka. Rama looks at Sugriva and says, hey Sugriva, mitra bhavena sampraptam natyajeyam katanchana dosho yadyapi tasya syat sathamyetat agarhitam. Mitra bhavena, if somebody comes declaring friendship as a mitra and seeks refuge, mitra bhavena samprapta natyajeyam katanchana, I cannot let down that person who comes admitting friendship, declaring friendship. And dosho yadyapi tasya syat, even if that person is full of defects, full of faults, I cannot let him down. Incidentally, Rama here is saying, mitra bhavena sampraptam, not just a mitra. If somebody comes declaring friendship, not just declaring friendship, if somebody comes acting like a friend, mitra bhavena, even if that person is only acting like a friend, need not be a true friend, mitra bhavena sampraptam, even then, I cannot let him down. Dosho yadyapi tasya syat, even if he is full of defects. Rama looks at Sugriva and says, Sugriva, it is only those who have defects who need support. Only a drowning man needs support to be pulled out. Only if somebody is fallen into a well, he needs help to be pulled out. If somebody is standing on the ground, why should he need? If somebody is a Punya Atma, his Punya Karma will take care of his own welfare. I don't need to intervene. Only when somebody is overwhelmed by their own Papa Karmas and they are struggling, then they need my help. He says, it is those people, dosho yadyapi tasya syat, that shows Bhagavan's compassion, his Vatsalya Guna. He is ready to ignore all our doshas, anadikala papa vasanas. He is ready to completely ignore them. And he says, only those who are troubled by their own papa karmas, who are struggling in life, they need a helping hand. And therefore, when somebody like that calls out for help, it is only natural for me to rush to their rescue. I cannot stop myself rushing to rescue those who need help. Mitra bhavena sampraptam natyajeyam katanchana dosho yadyapi tasya syat satam yetat agarhitam. And look at humility of Rama. He says, satam yetat agarhitam. This is what all the wise men say. This is what all the Shastras say. This is what all the wise men say. And therefore, I, Rama, who abides by dharma, I need to rush to Vibhīṣaṇa's help. Mitra bhavena sampraptam natyajeyam katanchana dosho yadyapi tasya syat satam yetat agarhitam. So therefore, I have to accept Vibhīṣaṇa in our camp. I have to accept and take him as a refuge. And he looks at Sugriva, and Sugriva is still not completely convinced. Sugriva is a little bit worried. Hey, Sugriva, I know you are worried for my safety. I know you are worried for my welfare. And you have been telling me that this Vibhīṣaṇa is Dashanana's brother. But let me tell you, he is only Dashanana's brother. His brother only has 10 heads. My brother Lakshmana has thousands of heads. He is Adisesha Avatara. He is Sahasra Sirisha. So therefore, why should you worry? And he says, Pishachan, Danavan, Yakshan, Pruthivyam, Chaiva, Rakshasan, Anguli Agreda, Tan Hanyan, Ichan Hari Ganeshwaraha. Hey Ganeshwar, hey Sugriva, the king of Vanaras, why are you worried? Pishachan, Danavan, Yakshan, Pruthivyam, Chaiva, Rakshasan. Be it Pishachas, Danavas, Yakshas, all kinds of people. I can easily handle all of them. I don't need even weapons. Anguli agrena tan hanyam icchan hari ganeshwara. Even my fingernails are enough. He is reminded of his own Narasimha Avatara. I don't need my weapons as well. I can easily handle all these Rakshasas. So why are you worried, hey Sugriva? Sugriva, you should not be worried. In fact, time has come for the fulfillment of my avatara. So don't stop me, hey Sugriva. And there comes that momentous occasion, that crescendo of Ramayana. Sakrideva prapannaya tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadamyetad vratam mama. Popularly celebrated as Rama Charama Shloka. Charama Shloka. Charama means the end, the ultimate. This shloka is not the end of Ramayana, but it is celebrated as Charama Shloka. Just like how in the Gita, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarvapapebhyo Mokshayishyami Masuchaha. That is Gita Charama Shloka. And this is Rama Charama Shloka. Rama makes a profound declaration to everyone, to all the Vanaras and Sugriva. And he declares, hey Sugriva, Sakrideva prapannaya tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadamyetad vratam mama. I have taken a vrata, hey Sugriva, and he is addressing not just to Sugriva, he is addressing all of us. What is my vrata? When one comes to me seeking my shelter, seeking refuge, when one comes to me and surrenders to me and admits, prays that, hey Rama, I am yours. Tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadamyetad vratam mama. I give abhaya to that person, total protection, assurance of safety from all living beings, complete protection. This is my solemn pledge, Rama declares. Sakriteva prapannaya tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadami etad vratam mama. Sakriteva. Sakrit. What a beautiful word. Sakrit means once. Sakriteva, just once. When a person takes refuge, my refuge, just once. One time is enough to do Sharanagati. We don't need to do multiple times. Sharanagati has to be done only once. If we do more than once, it shows lack of Vishwasa. If there is Mahavishwasa, then Sharanagati is only once. Only when there is lack of Vishwasa, we have to keep repeating it. So therefore, true Sharanagati is done only once. Rama says, Sakriteva, just once. When one takes my refuge just once, That is enough for me to offer protection. Sakriteva. Sakrit, without any hesitation whatsoever. Without any hesitation. Without hesitating and being worried about the lack of qualification. One should surrender with no hesitation, with no worry, knowing that we lack any qualification. One should seek refuge without hesitation. That is why Rama says Sakrideva, without any hesitation whatsoever. Sakriti also means sahasa, immediately. Sakriteva, sahasaiva, which means when one takes my shelter immediately, without letting one's own swadoshas come in the way as obstacles. One has to immediately take shelter, then and there. Immediately, so therefore he says, Sakriteva, immediately surrendering to me, not letting one's own faults, one's own swadoshas come as obstacles in the way of surrender. Sakriteva. Sakriti also means forever. Once is enough forever. Once is enough forever. When we do Śaraṇāgati once, we are protected forever. This is the sign of Mahavishwasa. That Atma Supreme Shraddha. Sakriteva. Sakriteva, Sakrit means now, here and now. What is the right time? What is the right place? What is the right place? Here. What is the right time? Now. What is a good time to pray? Now. We don't need to wait. For everything else, we know the answer. But when it comes to praying, surrendering to Him, we will say, we'll find the right muhurta. Luckily for us, the right muhurta only comes after 2 days. Right here, right now. Surrender right here, right now. Sakriteva. Sakriteva. Without letting the mind, the fleeting mind, which is always wandering, change its decision. If we say tomorrow we may be a different person. Today, after having attended satsang, we possibly are dominated by sattva. Tomorrow, after watching a gory movie, we may be dominated by tamas. Then we cannot surrender. When we are dominated by sattva, better to surrender. And not letting the mind, Sakriteva, right now, at once. Why at once? Because if we delay even it for a moment, the mind will go into an analysis paralysis mode. Is this the right thing to do? Is there a better option? Am I qualified? Am I not qualified? Will he accept? Will he not accept? What if? What not if? Analysis, the mind thrives in analyzing. Therefore, Sakriteva, at once. Do not let the mind analyze. Because even after all that analysis, nothing fruitful is going to come anyway. And we all know in our experience, we will spend time analyzing ad nauseum only to know that all that analysis has not really helped. Sakrideva prapannaya. Sakrideva nishchitya prapannaya. The nishchitya is hidden there. When Rama says, Sakrideva prapannaya, Sakrideva nishchitya prapannaya, nishchitya. Vibhīṣaṇa has not come with a chanchala mind. He knows that he is asking for Rama and Rama only. He is not seeking any other reward. Sometimes, with all right intentions, we approach Bhagavan, hey Rama, I am seeking you. And then we may suddenly change my mind. No, you remember, a house I have to buy. You remember that loan that I have, hey Rama? Suddenly, we may reprioritize our list. Buddhi is so chanchala manas. With all right intentions, we may go with a list, and we might have put Rama right on top of the list. And suddenly, the chanchala buddhi will ensure that the list gets completely, goes for a toss, and then we start asking everything else. Sakriteva nishchitya prapannaya. Nishchitya. I seek Rama alone, and my refuge is Rama's lotus feet alone. Sakrideva prapannaya. Tavasmiti cha yachate. Yachate. Praying. Tavasmiti cha yachate. Tavasmi. I am yours, He Rama. Tava asmi. I am yours. When we say, He Rama, I am yours, what does it mean? I belong to you. I am your property. When we say, Hey Rama, I am your property, we also say that therefore protecting me is your responsibility. It is the responsibility of the owner to protect his property. The property, the vastu, does not protect itself. The owner of the vastu takes care. So therefore, Hey Rama, tavasmi, I am yours. When we say, I belong to you, I am your property, and therefore you and you alone are my protector. Tavasmi cha. The chakara is very interesting. Chakara stands for and. Tavasmi cha. He Rama, tava asmi, and na mama. I am yours, I am not mine. He Rama, tavasmi nacha ravanasya. I am yours and I am not Ravana's. Because it is not only important to tell Bhagavan that I am yours, I also do not belong to anybody else. I am also not mine. Because we always would like to take a safe stand. Hey Rama, I am yours. I also belong to the world. No, I want everything in the world. I also want you. Hey Rama, I want only you, knowing that the world is in you. Tava asmi cha. Tava asmi iti. Tava asmi iti. The word iti is added there. Rama adds the word iti. Rama is so very pleased. Tava asmi iti. Yachate. Vibhīṣaṇa is praying. Hey Rama, I am yours. He says thus. He says. Iti means thus. Vibhīṣaṇa says thus. He is so very pleased. A Rakshasa is saying thus. I know Rishis, Sanat Kumaras, all the great Mahatmas, all the Jnanis say so. But look, a Rakshasa is saying thus. A Rakshasa is saying, Rama is so very pleased. When we approach Bhagavan and tell him, Hey Bhagavan, Tavasmi, I am yours, Bhagavan is so very pleased. Finally, it's like a child telling his or her mother, Amma, you are my mother. I belong to you. How much the mother would be pleased. Until then, imagine if the child is ignored. And then all of a sudden one day looks at mother and with all love and affection says, you are my mother. Rama is saying, Tava smi iti Vibhīṣaṇa, my child. He is Rakshasa, no doubt, but he says, not Rishis, not great Jnanis. Tava asmi iti cha. The chakara here has another important. Chakara stands for also. Vibhīṣaṇa is saying, Tava asmi. He says, Hey Rama, I am yours, meaning you are my means, you are also my goal. So by adding chakara, he says Vibhīṣaṇa is not only praying for the means, he is also praying for the goal, the kainkarya. Sakrideva Prapannaya Tavasmiti Cha. Tavasmiti Cha. The Chakara has another significance. Tava Asmi Cha. Chakara brings in Shri Sambandha here. Tava Asmi. I am yours, Hey Rama. Tava Asmi Vaidehyas Chasmi. Because Vibhīṣaṇa is a great Vishnu Bhakta. He knows Nitya Vaisha Jaganmata Vishnoho Shri Rarapayini Yata Sarvagato Vishnu Tadeveyam Jottama. Shri and Narayana are inseparable. They are always together. And therefore, he knows that he needs to do Kainkarya to both Shri and Narayana together. Therefore, the Chakara there brings in Shri Sambandha. Tava Asmiti Yachate. Yachana. Rama says, Vibhīṣaṇa's Yachana has to be understood. His prayer is so very defectless, so very faultless. Why? Because he is only seeking Rama. How can our prayers be faultless and defectless? Our prayer can be faultless and defectless when we don't ask anything. Our prayer is filled with numerous asks. And when Bhagavan sees somebody who is not asking anything, he is really thrilled. And therefore he says, Yachate. Look at the kind of prayer, his prayer saying, I am all yours, I belong to you. A very defectless, faultless prayers of Vibhīṣaṇa. How can I not accept such prayers? Sakrideva Prapannaya Tavasmiti Yachate Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadamyetad Vratam Mama. Abhayam. Abhaya is protection. Abhaya is fearlessness. Abhaya is safety. Abhaya is security. Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo. Protection from all living entities. Sarvabhutebhya. Now here, the Chakara can also be added to Sarvabhutebhya, Sarvabhutebhyascha. The Chakara previously can be added here. So therefore, Sarvabhutebhyascha has a very interesting message. Because Rama is saying, I not only offer protection from all to Vibhīṣaṇa, I also offer protection to the 4 Rakshasas who have come along with Vibhīṣaṇa. They have not asked for anything. This is what happens when we are together with Bhagavatottamas. When we are with a Bhagavatottama, we can keep silent. When the Bhagavatottama speaks to Bhagavan, it is as good as we speaking to Bhagavan. When moksha prapti is attained by the Bhagavatottama, all the Bhagavatas together with him automatically go. So therefore, Rama looks around and to the surprise of everybody there, he says, I am accepting Śaraṇāgati not only from Vibhīṣaṇa, but from all the 4. The other 4 have not spoken. But Rama says, total protection to them as well. That is why we are always together in satsang, praying together. Shastras say, we have to pray together. This journey has to be together. And this is what pleases Bhagavan the most. When he sees not one Bhagavata, not 2, hundreds of Bhagavatas coming together and one Bhagavata surrendering on behalf of everybody else is enough. Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyaha. Sarvabhutebhyaha also can be understood as Sarva Papebhyaha. Protection from all living beings, protection from Sarva Papebhyaha. The moment one surrenders to Bhagavan, Bhagavan takes care of protecting us from all the papas resulting from actions inadvertently done. He takes care, he He ensures, he takes over the responsibility of our journey, life's journey. And he takes the steering wheel. And he says, Sarva papebhyaha, sarva bhutebhyaha, abhayam sarva bhutebhyaha, dadami etat vratam mama. Abhayam dadami. I give abhaya to the one who seeks my shelter and who comes calling out for shelter and praise. I am all yours, Hey Rama. He says, I give abhaya. Now this abhayam dadami is a great assurance. Why? Because dadami is in the present tense. Rama is saying, I give. He's not saying, I will give. He says, I give. Which means his protection is there eternally. It's not that he gave. It's not that he will give. He gives. He gives. He keeps giving. He only knows one thing. Bhagavan only knows to give. He gives, gives and gives, and he never finishes giving. Abhayam dadhami. I give fearlessness. I give protection. I give assurance. I give total safety. Yetad. This abhaya pradhana. Yetad refers to Rama's abhaya pradhana. This abhaya pradhana, yetad, is vratam. My vrata is the vrata. For Rama, he says, for Bhagavan, abhaya pradhana is a vrata. Whether we engage in any vratas or not, Bhagavan is eternally engaged in one vrata. Abhaya pradhana vrata. We hesitate to do austerities. We hesitate to engage in any kind of vratas. Bhagavan has no hesitation. His vrata is his unfailing endeavor, which is born out of his satya sankalpatva. Abhayam dadhami yetad vratam mama, he says. This is my vrata. Who is this mama? Rama now is saying mama, the one who is Sarveshwara, who is the Sarva Niyanta. He is Sarva Seshi. He is the one whose sankalpa is satya sankalpa, unfailing, eternally relevant pledge that he takes, and therefore Vibhīṣaṇa, it is natural, has to be accepted. This is the Sarva Shastra Sammata. Sakrideva Prapannaya Tavasmiti Chayachate Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadam Yetad Vratam Mama. What a profound declaration that Rama makes. And he adds, Anayenam Harisreshta Dattamasya Abhayam Maya Vibhīṣaṇo va Sugriva Yadiva Ravanasvayam. This is where we see Bhagavan's compassion. He looks around and says, let me make this very clear. Vibhīṣaṇo va, he Sugriva, Vibhīṣaṇo va Yadiva Ravanasvayam. Even if Ravana comes to me today seeking shelter, I will accept his refuge. This is Bhagavan's infinite compassion. And he looks at all the Vanaras and Sugriva says, therefore, please go. Don't make him wait. Why are you making my Vibhīṣaṇa wait so long? Please go. Bring him. Vibhīṣaṇa, so very delighted. He's still in the sky. He's actually observing the conversation that has been going on, the assurance that Rama is giving. So Vibhīṣaṇa is already in the sky soaring. Now his heart is soaring. He's so very joyous, and he now descends. And he descends and he rushes. Padayoho sharananveshi chatudbihi saharakshasaihi abravīcca tadaramam vakyam tatra Vibhīṣaṇaha dharmayuktam cha sampraptyam samaharshanam. Vibhīṣaṇa prostrates to Rama, holds tightly Rama's feet, and he then gets up and then he speaks. Valmiki says Vibhīṣaṇa's words are not only dharmic, equitable, not only suitable to the occasion, very, very delightful, he says. Vibhīṣaṇa prostrating to Rama, performing Śaraṇāgati. He looks at Rama with horripilations all over his body. He says, Bhavantam sarvabhūtānām śaranyam śaranam gataha. Hey Bhagavan, you are my source, you are my shelter, you are my summit, you are my resource, you are my refuge, you are my recourse. I know of nothing else. I know of only your divine lotus feet. Bhavantam sarvabhūtānām śaranyam śaranam gataha. You are the Sharanya for this entire loka, and therefore I seek refuge in you. Parityakta maya lanka vitrani cha dhanani cha bhavadgatam hime rajyam cha jeevitam cha sukhani cha. Vibhīṣaṇa is pouring out his heart to Rama. Hey Rama, parityakta maya lanka mitrani cha dhanani cha bhavadgatam hime rajyam cha jeevitam cha sukhani cha. I have renounced everything. Parityakta maya lanka. I have renounced my lanka. Mitrani, all my friends and family. Dhanani, all my wealth. Bhavadgatam hime rajyam cha jeevitam cha sukhani cha. I have taken refuge in your lotus feet and I am at your disposal. And my happiness lies in your happiness. Hey Rama, I am your Śaraṇāgata. You are the Sarvaloka Sharanya. Śaraṇāgati, even though it is only done once, it brings about a life-changing transformation that is sustained throughout one's life. A prapanna who does Śaraṇāgati leads a life where the transformation is sustained. And how it is sustained? It is sustained by what the Shastras say, by the 6 principles of Śaraṇāgati. The 6 angas of Śaraṇāgati. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshayatiti vishwasaha, gotrutva varanam tatha, atmanikshepa karpanyo, sadvida Śaraṇāgatihi. Shadvida Śaraṇāgatihi. 6 angas of Śaraṇāgati. We see in Vibhīṣaṇa Śaraṇāgati fulfillment of all these 6 angas of Śaraṇāgati. And we see how these 6 principles guide a Śaraṇāgata throughout the life. What are the 6 principles? Anukulyasya sankalpaha. Anukulyasya, to be aligned with Bhagavan's will and his will alone. What do we mean by aligning with Bhagavan's will? How do we know his will? His will is known through his Shastra. So when we are abiding by the Shastra, when we abide by Dharma, and when our life and living is rooted in the Shastras, and we do what only pleases him and him alone, Anukulyasya sankalpaha. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Anukulyasya sankalpaha is to do what pleases him. Everything that we do, we constantly keep thinking, we have to think, does this please Rama? Any action, does this please Bhagavan? Anukulyasya sankalpaha. Pratikulyasya varjanam. To abandon any actions that will displease him. To be misaligned with Bhagavan, which means to be against the Shastras. To do actions that are adharmic in nature. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Rakshayatiti vishwasaha. This is the foundation of Śaraṇāgati. Rakshayatiti vishwasaha. Mahavishwasa, that Bhagavan and Bhagavan alone is the protector. As we grow, our ego also grows. And over a period of time, it becomes very difficult for us to accept that somebody else is our protector. A little child believes sincerely that his or her parents are her protectors. A father lifts a 1-year-old, throws the 1-year-old high in the sky. The 1-year-old doesn't cry, is happy, enjoying, knows that the father who has thrown the child is there to protect. The child becomes 2 years, nothing happens. 3 years, nothing happens. 5 year, maybe little, but the child will say, can you carry me? Do you have the strength? A little older, the child will say, Dad, not possible. Why do you take risks? Are you taking risks? Can you give me a guarantee that I will not break my leg? Let's get into a modern day children will say, let's get into a contract. It is as the ego grows, it becomes, with Bhagavan, we have to have that Mahavishwasa, unconditional, Shraddha, Rakshayati. He is the protector. He protected me, he protects me, he will protect me. Rakshayati iti Vishwasaha. Goptrutva Varanam. Goptrutva Varana. Varana is choice, selection. Goptrutva is one who protects. Goptrutva Varanam, choosing him alone. Very important. We cannot say you are one amongst my many choices. That doesn't work in Śaraṇāgati. In Śaraṇāgati, it does not work out saying, Bhagavan, I have 5 choices to make. Be happy that you are one amongst 5. Doesn't work. You and you alone, I have my choice. I have no other choices. Vishwas Goptrutva Varanam Tata Atmanikshepa Karpanye Shadvida Śaraṇāgati. Karpanya is helplessness. Helplessness is in recognizing fragility of life, in recognizing the impermanence of everything in this world, to be aware that nothing in this world is permanent. This life is so very fragile. Therefore, just like how someone who is drowning in an ocean understands that he or she is helpless, drowning in the ocean of samsara, Karpanya is to recognize helplessness. Atma Nikshepa, the 6th anga. Nikshepa is to deposit. Atma Nikshepa, depositing one's own self to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. That's the safe locker. It is essentially saying, I am returning to you the stolen property. Even I, the Atma, I belong to you. So, by saying I am independent, I am actually stealing this away from you. Recognizing and realizing my total dependence on Bhagavan. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya vajjanam rakshayati iti vishwasaha goptrutva varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanye shadvida sharanagatihi. Iti bruvāṇam rāmasyatu parishvajya vibhīṣaṇam abravīl lakshmana prītaha samudrājjalam ānaya. Immediately, Rama looks at Vibhīṣaṇa and says, Vibhīṣaṇa, I accept your Śaraṇāgati. And how does Rama express his acceptance? Iti bruvāṇam rāmam parishvajya vibhīṣaṇam. He tightly hugs Vibhīṣaṇa. He gives Vibhīṣaṇa a tight embrace. And he says, Abravīl Lakshmana Prītaha Samudra Jalamanaya. He looks at Lakshmana and says, Lakshmana, bring water from Samudra, from the ocean. Why? Tena cha imam mahapragyam abhishincha vibhīṣaṇam rajanam rakshasam kshipram pasanne mayimanada. I will be only pleased when we consecrate, when we make Vibhīṣaṇa the king of Lanka. Vibhīṣaṇa did not ask for any kingdom or rulership. Rama decides, because Rama knows what is right for Lanka. Rama decides, here and now, I am going to perform the consecration ceremony. I am going to anoint Vibhīṣaṇa as the king. Yeva muktastu saumitrit abhyashnichit Vibhīṣaṇam madhyevānara mukhyānam rajanam ramasāshanam. Immediately, based on Rama's divine command, Lakshmana brings water from the ocean, and then and there Vibhīṣaṇa is made to sit, and Vibhīṣaṇa Pattabhisheka happens in a grand scale with all the Vanaras looking around. Mangalam Koshalendraya Mahaniya Gunabdhaye Chakravarthy Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam. Jai Shri Ram.